welcome. This is Kevin, also known as AWOL, and today we are doing the Blindside number 12 Making It video. And yeah, this was the idea that was sent in by, is it, I think it's like Marseille or Mars Bracelets over there on Instagram. So yeah, thank you again for sending me this one. Um yeah, this one turned out, it turned out when I went looking for colors that if I had used white like we had in the original pattern, I think it was going to take away from the light beige that we ended up doing. And when I was pulling the colors, there happened to be a skein of black kind of near where the brown fade was at, and I'm like, oh, forget the white. This is going to be it. Um, the bracelet relatively went pretty smooth. You'll kind of notice after it kind of gets going, I pick up a segmented method for going through this and working it out. In fact, the top half, it has a completely different way of doing the segmenting than the bottom half does, which was interesting. And if you're like planning on making this, you might actually want to really check out this video and kind of watch how I do it, to see how it kind of went together so smoothly. So yeah, that's kind of a thing. I do recall having said last week that the black was, well, in that case, at that time I was thinking white, but I had said that that color was going to get used an awful lot compared to the rest of the colors. And um, boy, was I right. I mean, I was really right. So I finished the bracelet. Um, but to be honest, I honestly don't know what I'm going to do with it now at this point, because the black strings are, well, they're not long enough to really make the tassels for tying it. So I kind of don't know what to do with it. Um, I mean, I could make like a short tassel or something with it, but like the strings are like maybe right around 3 inches or so, um, which is really short for doing the ties, right? I mean, that's especially if you're going to try to braid it, because it just gets shorter. So, to be honest, I don't know what I'm going to end up doing with the bracelet itself. Like I knew going into it, but I cut my strings really long. I cut them at 1/3 of a skein, which is like 2.3 meters or something for the length. Hang on, I can actually find out. What's 1/3 of 8?
The answer is approximately 2.666667.
2.6 meters, right? Because there's 8 meters in a skein, supposedly. So, give or take. So, 2.6 meters in length, and it's still nowhere near long enough to do it. Could I have cut the string differently? I suppose. But we're talking, if you get much longer than that, the whole pulling it through starts to become an issue. Like that's a problem. So, I mean, I don't know. It was just crazy. It was pretty crazy. It's a very pretty bracelet. It really looks really good. I was really kind of excited as it was going along with how it turns out. And you'll see that at the end of the video. But yeah, I don't know. It just went really badly. So yeah, that's kind of a thing. Let's see what else. Oh, I should mention that this was pattern number 27046 on Bracelet Book. So in case you're looking to do it, mind you, I changed it up a little bit. I made the beginning a little bit more interesting, or at least come in with a nice start. And the kumi looks amazing, so you'll have to go check that out. Maybe I'll try to add an extra picture of just that in Instagram or something. So if you don't already follow me on Instagram, go check that out. It's AKA AWOL, just like pretty much all my social medias are. Um, but yeah, you can see like it just gets into a little rhythm here, and um, I kind of really didn't need to look at the pattern much. The only thing that I really got concerned with when it came to the pattern was knowing like how close was I to getting to the middle of the bracelet, so that way I would know when to change up the whole color sequences and stuff. And it's I don't it's yeah, there's like a little diamondy dot in the center. It's so darn cute. It really came out well. I really and I'm not, to be honest, I'm not even sure that I have too much more of this brown fade left. So it's not like I could necessarily just go grab some more string and remake it, um, which is a little bit unfortunate. I think it's the lightest one that I'm out of. I have some of the other colors, but I think it's the lightest one I'm out of. So I don't know. It's kind of, it still strikes me really funny that as much as I knew that the black in this was going to be a problem with not being long enough, it still ran out on me. Like I really honestly thought because I cut my strings so long, that it was not going to be a problem, and it still got me. So imagine if I cut this in like if I cut the skein into quarters, like that would be like the normal thing I do. Um, yeah, I would have ran out way sooner. That would have been really super bad. So yeah, I don't know. It fits around just fine. I don't know. I don't know. I'll talk to Mandy, see what she thinks I ought to do with it. I kind of feel like it's just gonna end up, like I'll just give it away or something. Like whenever something goes wrong, I'm just like, forget it. Give it to somebody. So, um, the overall amount of time it took, I don't think was too terribly long. It was not as short as the last one, but the last one had like really few strings. This has that one last one had what? Eight coming down. This is 10. So yeah, I guess that makes sense. Proportionate wise, it makes sense that this one took a little bit longer. Um, but still relatively quick overall. I Again, back to the short string thing. I think I knew by the halfway point that, you know, it's like, uh-oh, Houston, I think we have a problem. And there was absolutely nothing I could do about it. There was, at that point, it's already a thing, and you already got so many knots and everything committed to it. What could I possibly have done? So yeah, this is the halfway point. You can see that the dark brown got bounced back inwards, and then this is the beginning of the new style of doing these segments. So yeah, no, it's kind of late in the day here. It's been a long day, and um, this is not how I wanted my day to end. I I haven't had this happen on a bracelet in a really long time, and now, like I said, I don't know what I could do with. I mean, yeah, I can't picture a way of like weaving it into something or somehow encapsulating the black string in order to let the because all the rest of the strings are huge. They are. Like, I don't know if you can see that, but they're huge. Um, so yeah, it really completely uneven. And this is, I was wondering like, so why never did I never like kind of mess with these kind of things early on in my bracelet making, like really early on, like in the 80s and 90s. Almost all of my patterns were based around the idea of cutting my strings into 1/4 of a skein, which is 2 meters in length. And if you use all your colors evenly, this is plenty enough to do a lot of amazing things. Can you do everything? No. Heck no. But you could do a lot. And it was super cost efficient because you really used up almost all of your string. You had very little scrap left at the end. It was, in my mind, the most cost efficient way of actually producing stuff. Um, since then, I've came up with this other idea that I would like to experiment and try things I've never done before. And I would like the assurance that no matter what I do, I don't run out of string. And that's why the cutting it at 1/3 the length of a skein, or cutting it into thirds, why that seemed to really resonate well with me was because most every single pattern that I've done since adopting that, I have never ran out. Even when it seemed like the color was getting used an awful lot, I never really seemed to run out. Um, so for this to happen, it's like, wow, it really just just the way that it was constant in the zigzags or whatever, it really, really used up the string. So yeah, I am a little bit bummed. Um, and it's possible there is a truth that, not all of the strings are exactly the 8 meters that they're supposed to be. So this could be a case of instead of getting 8 meters, maybe it was like 7.5 or something, or whatever variable out of there. It's a little shorter, and then a few more knots, and the whole thing just turns into the perfect recipe to where it's not long enough. Whatever the circumstances are, it still it still ended up being a thing. So if hopefully hopefully now you will have seen this video before you decided to tackle it. If you saw last week's video and you were like, woohoo, that looks awesome, I'm going to do it, and you too ran out of string, I'm sorry. I did try to warn you. Like I said, I mentioned it. I know for a fact I talked about it at least twice. Um, but I'm sorry. Like, this week gives you all I know about the whole thing, right? That's what I think this making it videos are about, is that, me sharing whatever insights I picked up along the way. And in this case, that's my biggest take on the whole thing. Um, it's a pretty pattern. Absolutely try it. Um, just do something like ridiculously long for the string, whether it's black, white, whatever you want the zigzag things to be. Um, but this is not a beginner's bracelet at all. There's way too much zigzagging and stuff going on, and you know. So let's see, what do we got left here? We have about 2 minutes left. That means it's probably a good time for me to thank my Patreon supporters who make the videos possible. I really do rely on you guys an awful lot to get the equipment, to get the microphone and all the stuff. Like I've said, I want to replace this camera here because it's like really close to my face and that drives me insane. So I want to get a camera that can be further away. So that's the next big hopes on the channel. Um, and I want to thank you guys for hanging around this long. It really helps the channel. We need the watch hours to go up in order to try to get this channel monetized, so that way I can start doing some fun stuff like more giveaways. So yeah, that's a kind of a thing. So yeah. Um, if you haven't already, click like on the video. That would be super awesome. That would help um, get the video out in front of more people as well. So yeah. No, what do we got left? We got just over a minute left. Yeah, I'm not sure if you can tell, like, kind of watch as I'm tying the black ones. I think you can kind of, yeah, see how I'm like I'm struggling when I'm like ever so hopeful at this point. Like, please just let me finish. Let me get to the end. Oh man, it was brutal. I kinda I, I guess I kind of foresaw it coming though. I mean, I've been making patterns for a long time, so I sort of know this kind of thing. And yeah, it's unfortunate, but it happens. So yeah, oh well. So until next time, guys, please don't get your strings in a bunch.